Hi, today I'm going to present to you Goblin Scrapyard Machines, a strategic puzzle game for 2 to 5 players. Here you will see a setup for 4 players. I'm going to make this presentation in Tabletop Simulator because unfortunately I don't have a very good setup with my camera and my home for a physical copy. But you will get the idea exactly the same how the game goes. In this game, the goal is collect the most victory points by building the best machine from the scrapyard parts. There are 6 types of parts that players can place on their machine. Each player will start with a different machine, so each machine will be different. For example, this guy has a rocket, this goblin has a motorcycle, this one has a bulldozer, so every setup is different. The only way the players can get victory points is by completing tasks from the goal cards. So for example, this goblin has these 2 tasks, but she can collect more cards during the game. Goal cards must be kept hidden throughout the game. The game is played in a clockwise order, starting from the first player and then the other players go around. Each player on their turn can do only one action. One of the actions can be to add new parts to your machine. When adding parts to your machine, you must always choose exactly 2 parts and they both must be different. So, for example, this goblin wants to place a joint part and a nitro on her machine. So here's the twist in the game. When any player decided to place new parts on their machine, all other players must also place those parts that the active player chooses. So this player must also place these 2 parts. This player must also place those 2 parts, even though it's not their goal, but they must place it. And this player also must place them. So the placement rules is when you place 2 parts, you must place them adjacent to each other. So, for example, this one is okay, even diagonal connections are okay, but these 2 parts need to be placed adjacent to each other. When any other player decided to place some other parts, for example, these 2, let's say this player placed these parts, and now he decided to place the engine and the spring, every other player must also place those 2 parts. The next 2 parts also must be placed adjacent to each other, regardless of the previous parts. So they don't need to be adjacent to the previous parts, but these 2 parts must be adjacent to each other. So I will go around and place the turn for this goblin also. Now, when this goblin wants to place these parts, pay attention that there are some special spaces in each player's board. There's 3 of them. And if you place a part that matches that color, then you can activate the special ability. These special abilities can be activated only once and then help you to rearrange parts. For example, this one will allow you to switch places with 2 parts, for example, this one and this one, if you want, etc. On your turn, instead of adding new parts, a player may choose to pick a new goal card. So instead of adding new parts that you need, you can take new goal card, place it in your hand, the new card goes here, and then it's next player's turn. So this player will look at his cards and he will see that he wants to play purple and the red parts. This goal tells him that he must place 4 purple in a row. So he can place them like this, or he can rotate card and place them like this. So he needs to plan ahead where do he wants to place them. I placed this randomly, probably this was not a good setup, but he will probably plan to place them like this. So he will say, we all place purple and we all place red because that's his tasks. He must place it adjacent. So this could be his move. Of course, if he waits too long or take too many goal cards, the other players will tell him what parts to place. That it can mess up with his plans to place 4 purple here. especially if nobody else is taking purple tasks. So you must also pay attention what other players are taking of their goals. So next player can take a goal card in order to achieve more victory points, but there is another option. If you don't like any of these goals, you can discard them all, place them in discard pile, draw 2 new goals. Player may choose to pick any of them. So for example, this goblin really likes this one, so she will take it. Then you place all other goal cards. So as you can see, the game goes fast. It's very simple to explain, but there is also a strategic depth because you need to plan ahead where will you place your parts, because others are choosing for you which parts you will place. It can mess up with your plans. You will never have a perfect machine, but that's okay. Your goal is only to have more points than other players. Some of the goals require for you to compete with other players, so you also have to pay attention how many of certain parts they have. You will score points for those tasks. You will score points equal to the number of players in the game. So the more players, the more points, but it will also be more difficult to fulfill those tasks. The game will be played in this fashion until the entire machine is filled, and that will happen for all players at the same time. The tasks can overlap. So for example, if you have something like this, for this arrangement of parts, you can complete this task, that's plus 2 points, but you also have this arrangement, so you complete this task. You cannot score the same task multiple times on multiple occasions, but you can use the same parts for multiple tasks. The game is all about the decision whether you should place the parts that you need, or will you take a new goal card and hoping that you can fulfill it by the end of the game because you don't know which parts other players will tell you to place. There is a strategy, there's a little bit of risk, there's also planning ahead. Advanced players can memorize what other players have took, so the more you play it, the more you get better. This game was tested more than 50 times with different groups of people, with hardcore gamers and casual players, and everybody liked it because it's so easy to play, and they wanted to play again because now they figure out, oh, now I know how I need to think in this game. You can also try this game. It's available. So that's it for today. I hope you like it. You can try this game if you want it, and have a nice day.